There are some sirens. Sirening.
Well, they're still robbing the bank, so there would be sirens.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we are inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
And this time we read Agitation 3.9.
3.9!
Ted said to me, "There's a fight." And he was correct. There's a fight. It's all a fight.
What did you think?
I didn't know she was going to kill Clockbocker. It turns out she did. So that's fun.
I have to say, he's not confirmed dead in this chapter.
But he will be, obviously.
As will be clear.
He will be killed. It's the whole foreshadowing with Lung. She doesn't know her own strength. It's another case of she indirectly caused this, but it was his power, like his actions. The hero was what resulted in the death. Fair.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Her thinking about.
But he's like 95% sure he's dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. A prediction right off the top. R.I.P. Clockbocker.
I mean, what a shoe to drop, right? Taylor has already told Armsmaster, like, she's infiltrating this gang, but she's just going to get information, and she's going to do some crimes, but she's not going to kill anyone.
Now there are 3 murderers.
Obviously. Right. And then
Bitch is the only one
who hasn't killed anyone.
No, wait, there are 5. There are 5.
That's true. Maybe he was referring to 2 of the dogs when he said there were 2 murderers.
That's true.
No, but, I mean, she is trying to prove to Armsmaster that she's a hero, and she was like, you have to cover for me if anything goes wrong. He didn't seem like he was going to do that, but, like, she still had a chance because she told him her plan. It seemed like he at least believed her intentions. But now she's killed someone, probably. There's no coming back from this. This would definitely take the narrative in a dark direction, and one that is not YA. So I think it's accurate.
Incredible.
I don't want it to be true. I think that'll be horrible for Taylor. And, you know, poor Clockblocker doesn't deserve to die. I mean, I have no great affection for him, but, like, I mean, he's just defending the bank from a robbery, you know.
Wow. Okay. Heavy stuff.
Yeah.
I am now agitated as well.
Yeah.
But why don't I fill everyone in about how Taylor kills Clockblocker? So, we last left the Undersiders in the bank facing down way too many wards. Taylor being like, we gotta change the plan. We're gonna go on the attack. And then we, skip ahead briefly so we don't get any of the details of their planning. But basically the plan is throw open the front doors, send a bunch of hostages out, and then flood the area with Gru's darkness so that the wards can't see what's happening. And also know that there are hostages there, so they can't just, have Kidwin blind fire with his laser pistols or whatever. Then heading out next is Bitch and the dogs, and their target is Aegis, as previously discussed, to keep him occupied. But Tattletale notices something off when the doors are first flung open, which is that Aegis, the leader of the wards, looks to Clockblocker and is like, this is unexpected. Clockblocker signals, basically toward the ground. And then Aegis calls out, everyone on the ground now. And Tattletale's like, that's weird. Why would the leader of the wards look to Clockblocker for advice in this key combat situation? And she puts together...
Well, her power tells her because she had a little piece of information.
Exactly. Her power tells her that Aegis and Clockblocker have switched costumes.
Really good strategy.
Really good strategy, because imagine that Bitch and the dogs go running after Aegis and chomp down on him, and then secret Clockblocker freezes them, takes them out of combat for maybe up to 10 minutes. It's all over. So, really good strategy. Tattletale's power fills her in. So, as Bitch is getting on one of her dogs to ride off into the darkness, Tattletale's like, change of plans, go after Clockblocker instead. Bitch doesn't care to listen for an explanation and just runs out into the night. Second wave is Gru and Regent and Taylor's swarm go out into the darkness, leaving Tattletale and Taylor behind in the bank. Tattletale just goes back to the security computer, and Taylor is watching things through her swarm. and watching things through one of the front windows. So we basically get the start of a fight. We have some really exciting beats of Aegis versus Bitch and the dogs, where the dogs are like incredibly more athletic than predicted, and basically are able to, at least so far, keep Aegis occupied by just dealing a ton of damage and keeping him, pinned down by their jaws and stuff. So there's some really fun beats in that element of the fight. We see Vista's power come into effect, kind of making the combat arena like appear bigger, like the sidewalks on the street outside the bank kind of bend away from each other like horseshoes. And at one point, Vista's power makes one of the dogs stumble, can't quite jump as far as they thought because, there's more space than when they first started jumping. So that's really cool. But then the rest of the chapter is just Taylor versus Clockbocker.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it, but according to Jenny, she murders him. Basically what happens is she starts to fill the inner cavities of his body with bugs, which causes him to give up and basically freeze all of the bugs, but that locking him into place.
Yeah.
Until his power fades off. So the chapter ends with Taylor being like, maybe I'll make it up to him later, but one down. I got to turn to the rest of the wards,
right?
If I want to stay out of jail.
So we've really only addressed 2 of the wards. Right. Aegis is still fighting with the dogs. Clockblocker is down.
Right. And so, we haven't really seen, we got some hints of Vista, but we haven't really seen anything from the other wards.
Done stuff.
We haven't seen Gru and Regent been involved. But the first part of the fight kicks off and Taylor decisively beats Clockblocker.
Yeah. So, the Clockblocker deal, let's talk about that first because I'm so distracted by how she's probably killed him and also by the intense body horror of this. Yeah. It's hard to focus on anything else. So at the beginning, when she first sends her swarm at Clockblocker, she's hoping that he'll kind of freeze himself in, but he's really careful. He keeps turning and make sure he only freezes the bugs behind him, like facing away from the bank, so that he doesn't create this screen, which makes sense. He's probably faced similar situations before.
So he's leaving like a vertical trail of bugs in his wake instead of creating a bug prison. Right. Which was, I think, when you were talking about how this would go, you came up with the bug prison idea right away. So Taylor is with you in terms of the strategy there.
But he's trying to get to Aegis so he can freeze the dogs. Yeah. And she keeps throwing bugs in between him and Aegis so that he's trying to get away, but he has to be careful where he freezes them because he can't block himself in. And then he decides to try ignoring the swarm, and so she stings him a bunch, and that sort of distracts him.
He ends up clotheslining himself on some bugs on his face. Which is, just an incredible detail.
So he ends up on his back on the ground because he just kind of knocked himself down with these frozen bugs. Yeah. And she's like, this is going to be the best opportunity. She sends the swarm to attack him.
And interestingly, Clockblocker usually has a skin-tight suit and helmet that covers him up. But because he switched costumes with Aegis, it's much, much, much easier for her bugs to get in. So I love this detail as again, the costume swap was a great idea.
Except that Tattletale
They don't know about Tattletale's power, right? Very unlikely for most people to be able to spot that in seconds. And they didn't know they were going to be fighting Taylor. So Clockblocker doesn't realize the possibility of how vulnerable he is compared to his normal suit. So really bad luck for the wards on both of those counts.
Yeah. What she does is she's, stinging him, attacking him, and then she says, "I'm so sorry," I murmured, just loud enough that only I could hear it. I gave the bugs a new order. Yeah.
Before we talk about what's going to happen to him, I do want to give him his moment of resilience. So as she's getting under his costume, even with innumerable insects biting and stinging him over and over, he managed to climb to his feet and return to his attempts to reach the dogs. He knew as well as I did that he couldn't freeze them now that the bugs had made their way inside his costume. He'd have to rip his costume with his own strength if he did. I doubted it was that easy to tear either. He has this moment of resilience, and then she says, "I'm so sorry," because...
Yeah, she sends the bugs up his nostrils. He, snorts out, but then he realizes he has to inhale and makes the mistake of opening his mouth to breathe. When a mass of bugs forced themselves into his open mouth, he staggered and fell.
I will, just quick, this actually might be the first time we need to have a content warning because this is truly horrifying.
It is truly horrifying. You continue,
if you have a problem with bugs being inside a person, please skip ahead a minute or two.
Honestly, who doesn't have a problem with that on some level? Yeah. I think he was gagging, but couldn't see or hear well enough from my vantage point. Okay, so more bugs forced themselves under the gaps of his costume, into his ear canals. Hello, Yerks. Others, smaller ones, crawled in and around his eyes using deceptive strength to try and force themselves in between and under his eyelids. I couldn't imagine what that felt like to him. Everyone had probably experienced the sensation of having a lot of bugs crawling on them, but these bugs were operating with a human intelligence backing them to penetrate his eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. And we thought it was bad when she just went after Lung's dick.
Yeah.
This is so horrifying. And then, I don't know if it was calculated or something he did in a moment's panic, but he used his power. Every bug that was touching him disappeared from my reach. And that's what's been happening when he freezes the bugs. She's just suddenly not aware of them anymore because they're outside of time.
It is really interesting that, right, it's not that they're sort of frozen in physical space, they're like paralyzed. Like you said, they're outside of time. So they can't even communicate the information of where they are consistently back to
what we
Taylor.
heard about his power is that like you're just not aware of anything while you're frozen. Yeah. So, they have no communication with Taylor, so she can't sense them. Once Taylor realizes what he'd done, she pulls away all the bugs that weren't affected because she doesn't want to suffocate him. Too late, Taylor, is what I have to say about that.
The worst thing that could happen now is that he'd panic and throw up, choking on his own puke. I could do my part to avoid that.
Right, which was remove the other bugs. She says, then I'd won. I wasn't sure what to feel. I felt a kind of elation mixed with the quiet horror of what I'd just done to a superhero. Yeah, she decisively won. That was an incredible takeout. Reading that, like, she does think the worst that could happen is that he'd panic and throw up. I really am worried that she's underestimated her abilities. She's underestimated how many bugs are in there. She can't sense them anymore, so she doesn't have, like, a clear sense of how many are in there. I don't know if he's going to be able to breathe. Or, like, what if one of the others grabs him?
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be able to get to him, or there might be, like, a shield of bugs around. But, like, if someone tries to move him, they might tear up the inside of his, like, throat and trachea and like...
Yeah, I mean, that would be horrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember if they said it in chapter 3. I wonder if he can freeze himself.
Ooh! That would be the best solution.
If that's possible, then that almost guarantees his survival.
Yes, that would be great.
But I don't remember if he can do that.
Yeah. This is fascinating, yeah. I'm trying to, like, glean things about what's going to happen to him from what you're saying, but as we've learned, you have a great poker face, and you're very good at this, so...
I don't want to prejudice you one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I believe very strongly in the, like... Well, it's almost the opposite premise. If somebody is declared dead, but you don't see a body, then they're ripe for a comeback.
Yeah.
In the narrative, right?
Right.
This feels almost like the opposite principle of like, if Clockblocker is going to die from this...
Right, he's presumed living, so that means he's dead.
No. But since he's presumed living, it feels like it would cheapen it for him to, like, die off screen and have us be informed.
Okay,
versus the fight could take us in that direction. You know, like, one of the dogs kicks him and suddenly he's ripped to shreds or something. Yeah. You know, like... But I would, my instinct about how these narratives go is that, like, having Taylor's mistake happen off screen would cheapen it.
That is true. That is somewhat reassuring.
But I agree. If he can't freeze himself, he could throw up. He could have asthma. Like, you know, like there. And also, it's sort of the kind of the principle of you're saying you're filling somebody with bugs, they become frozen. She can no longer sense the bugs, so how well does she know that she hasn't totally blocked an airway?
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Unless she was going out of her way to be like, well, only block his mouth and not his throat or something.
He could only freeze the bugs he was touching.
Yeah.
So as long as his airways are big enough around that there would have been bugs in the middle, those are the ones she pulled out.
That's true, actually. The outflow bugs.
It's possible that like all of his airways are fully lined with bugs.
Yeah. awful.
Yeah. The thing that I was walking around and reading, Ted was sitting on the couch and he was observing the faces I was making. I like fully covered my mouth at like when a mass of bugs forced themselves into his open mouth, he staggered and fell. I was just walking around with my hand over my mouth, just like horrified.
Yeah. So Taylor's reaction is wild. First of all, I, again, don't want to prejudice you one way or the other. The fact that Taylor is not more worried about having just killed him is wild to me. This is incredibly risky use of her bugs. She hasn't practiced this, right? Like,
no. It's so intense. It's reminding me of Ender's Game again. She's just like, I guess, it's an all out fight. It makes sense that she's doing this. And like, look at what the dogs are doing to Aegis. But like, she is just hammering this guy with her power. And like, every opportunity she gets, she makes use of to really go for the weak points. And it's just brutal. Yeah.
And her power is good versus Clockblocker, but I also would say like he was
being very strategic.
He was being very strategic.
Oh, yeah.
But Taylor broke him psychologically. Right? Like it's like if he could have superhumanly, parahumanly, you might say, just kept going even though he was being filled with bugs, there's almost like nothing she could have done to stop him short of like actually killing him with stings or something.
Yeah.
But of course you can't. Your revulsion is going to take over.
Right. He lashes out with the power he has, which unfortunately is counterproductive.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, if I was in his position, I would nope out much earlier in the fight. I'd be like, oh, bugs. Oh, see you guys in,
Under my
1
eyelids?
to 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're done. This poor guy. It's funny because they're the enemy in the fight, and so I want them to go down. But like, then I have to remind myself, like, okay, these are the kids who decided I want to be a superhero.
Yeah.
Like Taylor.
Yeah.
And they're fighting bank robbers. Like, theoretically, I'm supposed to be on their side. Emotionally, I'm not at all.
Of course not.
I'm totally on the Undersider's side.
And this is Taylor. I felt a kind of elation mixed with the quiet horror of what I'd just done to a superhero. I could settle that inner turmoil later and decide on a way to make amends to Clockblocker at the same time.
You're going to make amends to Clockblocker for sending bugs under his eyelids? Like, yeah, but I took down those supervillains. Like, he's never going to speak to you.
Yeah. The other thing that I love about this, what I just read, is the way that I parse this is a quiet horror at what I've just done to a superhero.
Yeah.
Right? The thing that she seems hung up on is what you were just saying. Like, I shouldn't be doing this to a superhero. Enemy. But, like, if she was going up against Loon again, oh, yeah, I wouldn't care about... this wouldn't be horrifying to me. This would just be what I do, right? Like,
well,
if she's going up another villain...
I think she was disturbed by her own sort of sadistic glee at taking it along.
But I guess I'm tracking maybe some progress here. She's saying, I can't believe I'm doing this, asterisk, to a good guy.
Yeah.
Wild, Taylor. Wild.
Yeah. Woo. I hope he can take himself out so that he doesn't have to experience this for the next up to 10 minutes, because there's so many bugs.
Yeah, probably one of them is going to be frozen.
Some of them are definitely going to go 10 minutes if it's random.
Oh, man. So, I mean, that was a lot.
She just goes so hard, and it's so effective.
Yeah.
She's just like a bomb being dropped in the middle of these fights.
Yeah. It is so funny to me that she says, I'm sorry, before she does it. Taylor, oh my God. It just doesn't feel like enough. Saying I'm so sorry is not
She'll figure out how to make amends later, Ted.
Later.
Yeah, she'll get him a fruit basket. No, I could totally see if she ended up joining the wards for some reason. I feel like she would try to apologize to Clockblocker and he'd be like, whatever, no big deal. I mean, he's dead, but if he weren't dead, he'd be like, whatever, no big deal. And then he'd like act all aloof and try to like be superior to her in some way, but like secretly be really intimidated and like flinch around her.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like,
she goes to like pat him on the shoulder and he cringes away.
He like jumps halfway across the room.
Oh boy. What else do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about a ward who's getting beat up, who I don't feel bad for at all?
Aegis and the dogs?
Yeah.
I was, incidentally, when everyone goes out there and Taylor just stays in the bank, I was like, oh, right. For some reason, it hadn't occurred to me that she doesn't have to go out there physically herself.
She has a baton and a knife now, but
yes,
she does.
That is
Why
right.
would she go out?
But
there?
the fight with Loon got so one-on-one that I forgot that she acts through her swarm. She's a long distance.
Yeah, which is very cool. And it's really fun to just see some of the stuff you get from the bugs. Like, there's a bit about how it's kind of hard to tell who's who. She figures out who Gru is pretty easily. Regent's, like, a little bit harder.
She recognizes him from his mask, which is so funny.
And then some of the flies can smell the dogs.
Yeah.
The dogs have a really gross smell.
That was so disturbing. So this is Judas. His smell made a dozen instincts of mosquitoes and carrion flies kick into action. His scent was one of blood, meat, and gristle, the vaguest hints of diseased flesh. Wild. She turns them into, like, almost zombie dogs?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like, they're not dead, but they're not healthy in this huge form. Like, they're monsters.
Yeah.
It's very...
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I'm, like, trying to figure out what genre-wise, like, what trope are they?
Yeah.
Like, is this it's not quite a zombie movie. Like,
I mean, I think of them as mutants.
Yeah. But the diseased flesh is really fascinating.
It's very zombie-coded, yeah. But there's... When she's also looking out the window, and that's how she can see Vista's power kick into effect, where sort of, like, the streets stretch away from each other. So
it gives her a headache. We don't know if that's what's giving her a headache. She has a headache, and she's not sure if it's from trying to track the bugs across a space that is changing, or if she just has a headache from thinking too much about how Vista's power work.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so can we talk about Bitch versus Aegis?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is... I absolutely love this. I love this so much. Bitch is raring to go out and attack Aegis. And I love that Tattletale is like, she doesn't explain it to Bitch. Yeah. She just says, no, the plan's changed, go after Clockblocker.
Which is like, sure.
And Gru is like, what? Changing the plan? No, wait, explain. And Bitch is like, okay, I got it. And she runs off. And then Taylor, she is so doubtful of Bitch being able to do, like, a basic maneuver, where as Bitch comes bursting out of the darkness riding a dog, she is still charging towards quote-unquote Aegis. And Taylor is like, no, you idiot! Like, why aren't you listening? But she has intuited, I'll do a fake out, right? Like, the target is Clockblocker, so I'm going to charge Aegis, and at the last second, pivot off.
Yeah.
And that allows her to have the dog basically jump, wrap its prehensile tail around Aegis, who's trying to fly away. And then basically the dog tail whips Aegis into the ground.
And Aegis is fine.
Aegis is totally fine, but, Aegis gets tail whipped into the ground. Bitch is already riding back into Gru's darkness, flips him the bird, and then comes back later to set
Brutus and Angelica on Aegis.
Right. Bringing in the other dogs. And this is where Vista kind of throws the dogs off. Really, Vista having the dogs be slightly worse at jumping is really the only thing the wards managed to pull off tactically in this whole chapter.
That's true.
But even though Angelica jumps and misses Aegis, she hits the side of a building hard enough to make the windows around her explode. And
I hope no one was watching out those windows like Taylor was concerned about in Arc 1.
Yeah, and it's lunchtime.
True.
But Angelica grips the side of the building with her claws and then jumps again.
Yeah.
She does a wall jump. And, like, if I was surprised to see that display of acrobatics from one of the dogs, I doubted there were words for what Aegis must have felt just then. Angelica seized the teen hero in her jaws and they plummeted together. They just crashed to the ground. She whipped him around like a dog might shake a toy. When she paused, he was still fighting her, slamming his free hand against the side of her head, over and over. Loops and strings of drool mixed with blood hung from her mouth.
Oh my gosh.
I love this so much.
Yeah.
It is great. Someone needs to animate this. I need to see this fight. It is so fun. It is so fun to have this guy who is totally indestructible be mauled by monster dogs. It's just so
He's
fun.
basically every hero in actual superhero movies. It's just that it's actually spelled out that, like, no, it's not just that he has plot armor. He actually has, physical protection.
He's losing blood that would kill a normal person, but he has like 10 times the amount of normal human blood.
He can use something else for blood.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so intense. And what you said about Bitch not needing the reason, which is really interesting. She seems very... she's disciplined in a lot of ways, but she seems to enjoy a role as the follower.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that she, falls into line and is super obedient in all ways, but, she's not a big picture person. She's very, focused on whatever her thing is, and she seems to trust Tattletale a lot.
Right. So that's interesting. It's not, obedient in the sense of obeying authority, but maybe more just kind of, being willing to follow somebody that she believes in.
Right.
And being
certainly not in all things, but being willing to trust someone else and how she should direct her powers.
And being a team player, you know, there's a little bit of this who's really in charge, Gru or Tattletale kind of tension here, because again it's Tattletale changes the plan before she explains it to the rest of the team, which makes sense given that they only have seconds and it is obviously the right call.
Right.
And she knows, but it seems like the kind of thing that
Gru would mind.
Would mind, and maybe he's going to want to complain about later. Yeah. Well, I should have made that call,
Well, I don't think he thinks he's the leader.
Role.
Yeah. No, I don't think he would claim I should have made that call because I'm the leader. I think he might have said, you should have told all of us what was going on before you gave different instructions to Bitch, even though it worked out fine.
Yeah. And I guess it's a little bit of this weird, they do seem to operate a little bit collectively. There isn't a really strong command structure that we have seen spelled out.
Yeah.
So there's probably a little bit more to talk about, but this superhero fighting, is this what you
it's great.
This is what you've been wanting?
I hadn't even really thought about that because I was just so absorbed in the action. It's hard to really have analytical thoughts about this chapter. I think everything that we predicted, you already knew, but everything that I was led to expect from the excellence of the loom fight, the fight with Bitch, the combat instruction from Gru, about how well Wildbow was going to do this kind of combat, absolutely fulfilled that. This is very, very good. Very good reading. Really well written fight. Really easy to follow. Everything that happens is really interesting. It's good arcs of action, rise and fall. Like you said, the wards didn't have a lot of good moves in this chapter. Yeah. I assume that in the next chapter they'll get some of their own back, but...
Yeah, it'll be interesting to find out. I agree. It's so good. And it's so... just the pure tactics of the superpowers fighting each other.
Yeah.
It's just so satisfying. Right? You do care a little bit about, what you know of the characters on the Undersiders does influence a little bit. But, Aegis and Clockbocker, they're interchangeable dudes. We don't know anything about them except they're teens. But it's still super compelling. Just, imagining what they're going through, imagining them fighting, this team. Yeah. It's just really interesting.
Yeah. One of the other things that he's doing is, he's going... we talked about how hard Taylor goes. He is using her power in this really intense way. I could imagine a version of this where, she doesn't realize how far she can go with her power for a while. She has to be in a few fights before she's wait, what if I put the bugs up someone's nose?
Right.
She really is thinking about all of the potential uses. And I doubt this is the cap of what the potential things are she can do with her bugs. But again, it reminds me of the Brandon Sanderson thing where it's if you have 10 cool ideas, put them all at the beginning and then come up with more. Yeah. He's not holding out on I'll let her get her feet wet before I have her go as intensely as I can think of her going. No, it's just she's smart, she's analytical, she would think of this, and she does it.
Yeah, it's great. Connecting back to the sort of, what do the wards think of this? I really love the beginning of the chapter where Taylor actually does this thought experiment. I can imagine how it looked to the wards. One moment they were standing in the rain, waiting with a tense readiness. The next, the front doors of the bank slammed open, revealing nothing but total darkness. Just a moment later, 8 hostages came stumbling through the darkness, out the doors, and down the stairs. Then there's the little interaction between Aegis and Clockblocker. Darkness swelled at the bank's entrance, then flooded into the street like water from a broken dam. In seconds, the hostages were hidden from sight, and the wards were forced to retreat several paces to keep from being swallowed up. It is so scary. Mm-hmm. It is so cool. Like, I think we were talking about the past few chapters, but like Gru is terrifying.
All of them are terrifying.
The inky blackness.
Yeah, so there's
scary.
This inky blackness. She doesn't continue the thought experiment, but like inky blackness, hostages come out, but then get covered by the blackness, and then huge monster dogs come out of it, and the swarm of bugs.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you see.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
It's just,
and then
it's
the bugs
awful.
take Clockblocker out by filling his like nasal cavity and like throat and whew.
Yeah. I do want to circle back to Gru's name. Because I think when we were first talking about playing the name game a little bit, I mentioned that there's a darkness monster in early text adventure video games called a Gru. That's like, if you go into the darkness without a torch, it eats you. But that is not the reference that Gru is making. Gru is just named after the word gruesome, which is just a scary, it's just like a scary thing.
That's funny because I would have associated it more with like something gross, like disgusting.
Yeah.
But I think that might be I might not quite have an accurate understanding of that word.
Yeah. But I think, so it's, obviously shared origin with the video game thing, but the reason I wanted to bring it up now is because, like, this is really proving that he chose his name well, right? Like, he is a gruesome thing, like this creature that lurks in the dark and is waiting to strike out at you.
So
I love
speaking of that, I was wondering, like, I think what I want to predict is what is happening with the other wards right now. So let me see if I can remember. We have Kid Win, who has his laser pistols. We have Gallant, who can shoot people with emotions. I was wondering if he had, like, shot Taylor, and that's why she had a headache. I think she would have noticed being shot with, like, a bolt of light, I think it was. And it was emotions, like, not physical
But that's the fun... If you're, again, maybe the bolts of light are kind of a red herring, right? Like,
maybe, yeah.
You make it look like you're blasting people, but maybe your power is more powerful than that, and you can do more subtle stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so we have Gallant, we have Kid Win, we have the punch guy, Browbeat. Shadowstalker isn't there.
Or is she?
Oh, well, yeah, we don't know that Shadowstalker is there. Who's the other one? Oh, Vista.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I have thought of all of them. So we kind of know what Vista's doing. Probably no one really needs to be countering her because she's not really, like, attacking right now. I suspect that Regent is fighting or will soon be fighting Browbeat because it sounded like Regent had managed to mess him up before.
Ooh, yeah.
Right, because his telekinesis is so powerful, but Regent can kind of throw it off. Gallant could be, like, shooting at Gru if Gru's, like, ducking in and out of the darkness. So, like, same with Kid Win. They don't seem to have gotten involved in the Aegis or Clockblocker fights. So, presumably, Regent and Gru are keeping them busy.
Right.
Yeah. I wonder who Taylor will take on next. Browbeat would be a really bad choice for her.
Okay.
So, presumably one of the other 3... Taking on Vista would maybe be the most helpful because she's distorting the space in a way that makes the other fights more difficult.
The way they laid it out in chapter 3.3...
She's the toughest of the other
Yeah, I think it was Aegis, Vista, Clockblocker were the big 3.
But we still don't know who's on the roof.
That's true.
Yeah.
No updates in this chapter.
No. We really have we've seen less than half of the playing field, basically.
Yeah.
In terms of participants.
Yeah.
So, I think this fight is probably going to go for at least another 2 chapters.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there are 3 chapters left in the arc.
Ooh, okay. So maybe 2 more for fighting and 1 for, like, aftermath/escape. Could
be good. Could be cool.
Or maybe 3 more for fighting.
Yeah.
That's a shame about Clockblocker, though. R.I.P.
R.I.P. We hardly knew him.
I think I'm less convinced that he's dead after our conversation, but it does seem like a really big risk. And that's the kind of thing you would want to mislead me on, so...
Yeah, right.
You never know. All right, was there anything else you wanted to say about...
I didn't really say... One note I had that I didn't say is that Tattletale, we sort of talked about, like, was she humbled by misjudging the number of wards that would show up?
No.
It's clear that she is loving this. I didn't think she was. And the fact that her power immediately pays off with the Aegis Clockbocker switch.
Huge.
It seems like
she's not going to be involved in the combat, but she's still crucial.
Right, exactly. It's like, without her, no one has the opportunity to do any of the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
She, must be feeling great.
I think she usually is.
Yeah, that seems like her vibe.
She seems like someone with a gift for happiness.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I think you've had some good predictions. And once again, I don't have any new names for you.
Okay. Well, yeah, unless you have any specific questions for me that you want me to predict, I think that's all I have.
Sounds good. Next time when Taylor kills a 12-year-old girl. Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildbow. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.